Welcome back to Beacon in the Storm. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today, we are talking about single forever. We know those guys who are forever in the Lonely Hearts Club, the ones who just never are able to seem to get a date, never able to seem to find a romantic partner, never able to find what they're looking for from love. And I want to talk about some of the reasons why that might be. All right, why, if you're sitting out there and you're in that Lonely Hearts Club and you're wishing you had someone and you just don't know what's going on, let's talk about it, all right? Because I saw a post on, this one was Reddit, and I'm not going to review it, but I saw this post a while back, and it was asking for reasons why your friends are going to be single forever. Like, you can tell from, how they act, from the way they talk about themselves, blah, 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 right, whatever, that they're not going to be able to get a date, and it's their own fault. And so I was reading that, I'm like, okay, well, yeah, some of these make sense, and some of them may just be cultural, some of them are entirely mindset. So let's go through it, okay? So if you're out there and you're like, tell me, Brad, let's talk. Because I think first and foremost, if you have no confidence in yourself, that's it. That's like the cornerstone of this issue. And so you can go to any dating guru out there, you can go to any pickup artist out there, you can go to anybody, and they're all going to say you got to have confidence. Like it's so absolutely fundamental to just having a productive and happy life. All right, whether you're going into business or you're looking for a partner, it's the same thing. You have to feel good enough about yourself to want to go out there and know that you have something to offer. Okay? And I get the feeling there's too many men out there who just don't have a high opinion on themselves. They either think they're too ugly, they think that they're not interesting, they don't think they have a good career options or path or any future. They don't think that they have anything going on for them. And that's not true. That's just simply not true, okay? There is a person for everybody on this planet. All right, every personality type has another personality type that they match up with. All right, there is almost no such thing as too ugly. All right, there have been some really hideously looking ugly people on this planet who get married. All right, there have been people who have suffered absolutely horrible disfiguring injuries, burns, chemicals, acids, cuts. They get married. All right, it has nothing to do with that. All right, it has to do with what's in here. Now, your options may be more limited if you are not good looking, all right? But the people who are going to base what they want on looks alone, you probably don't want anyway. All right, they're probably shallow, they're probably egotistical and vain and conceited and all kinds of negative attributes that you really don't want in your life anyway. So, first step, focus on yourself. All right, if you can truly figure out what makes you unique, what makes you special, what makes you worth enjoying yourself, all right? Not in a nasty way, but like if you can sit in a room by yourself with no TV, no phone, no nothing, and just be good with it, be good with what's going on in your head, I think you've reached that place, all right? Now, I discuss religion on this show quite frequently, and if you are having issues with that, finding God is a good way to do it. All right, a good way to find that self-confidence, that higher power that believes in you and loves you, because that word I just used, love, okay? When I use self-confidence because it's kind of a more manly term to use and it's more acceptable for men to say it. But in truth, it's love. You have to be able to love yourself. If you look in the mirror and all you do is put that person down, it's no wonder you're not able to find love outside. Because if you are putting down that reflection, it's no wonder other people are putting you down. All right? When you can find a way to uplift that person in the mirror and find a way to uplift yourself and find that good, honest joy in just being, then you kind of radiate that energy of good upliftedness, right? That's what confidence is. People see you and they go, I want to be around that person. They seem to know where they're going. All right? And I think too many people just don't take the time. They don't take the time to sit there and actually get to know themselves. They don't take the time to sit in front of a mirror and go, hey, what's going on in your life? How are you doing? All right. My family, my wife, my daughter, and myself, we have a daily habit that we make sure we spend at least 5 minutes every single day talking to ourselves in the mirror. And it's really interesting because the first time you do it, you think you're just going to go kind of through the normal, you're awesome, you're amazing, things are great. And then before the first 5 minutes are done, you're sitting there like, well, what else do I talk about? What else is going on in my life? And it becomes a relationship. And it's probably something you've never really done before. Like, yeah, you look in the mirror, you do your hair, you get yourself ready, but you've probably never had a real relationship with yourself. And that is where confidence comes from. All right? It comes from love for yourself. And I'm not talking about an egotistical love. It's more of there's a difference between egotistical and egoist. I'm fairly certain it's an egoist love, where you are okay with being yourself. You're okay with liking yourself. You're okay with being the person that you are, as opposed to a self-love, and that's beyond all other considerations kind of love, all right? There's a difference. And so you have to come to know who you are as a person, what it is you want out of life, and not in a shallow way. All right, everybody wants to get rich. Everybody wants to have a nice house. Everybody wants love. Everybody wants these ideas, right? What kind of person do you want? What kind of job do you want? What kind of house do you want? Be specific, because until you're specific, you're not actually going to be able to find the thing. All right? And so this comes to the next point I want to make. And so the Reddit thing I was mentioning, they were talking about all the reasons why our friends are going to remain single forever. And the number one reason was confidence, lack of confidence in themselves. They're always the sad sap. They're always the one, woe is me, nothing's ever right, no one likes me. And this may sound familiar to you because you may be saying those things. Stop it, okay? You have to love yourself. But the second reason they gave was that they're picky. Their friends are picky. I have a friend, incredibly picky guy. He won't take this race. He won't take that race. He won't take them if they're too short. He won't take them if they're too tall. He won't take them if they have this color hair. He won't take them. And like his options are almost entirely based on looks. And me and my other friends of his are like, dude, you have to get over this idea that looks are the most important thing. Like, I understand for some people, certain types of looks matter, okay? You may have a preference. There's nothing wrong with having a preference. But if your preference has become a cage that you're stuck in, that you just can't find the person at all that you would want to be with, that's an issue. Because at the end of the day, we're all God's creatures in the dark. Okay? When the lights are out, you don't know what they look like. All you know is the feel of their heartbeat and how they communicate who they are to you. All right? You have to get over being picky. All right? And I'm sure you're like, well, I'm not looking for 10s, Brad. I'll take a 6 if I have to. Cool. Have you considered a 3? And what makes a 3? Like, I have met some truly ugly 9s and 10s. And I grew up in California in the Bay Area, in one of the wealthiest areas in the country. It was the wealthiest mid-sized city in America I grew up in, okay? There were girls having boob jobs in 9th grade, okay? And plastic surgery and platinum blonde hair. And like, I grew up with some really pretty women. And many of them were truly ugly on the inside. They were not good people. They were nasty. They were mean. They would put people down. And all they cared about is status and looks. And it was just like, wow, I want nothing to do with these people. So I didn't. All right. What you'll find is often the people who are not great looking are actually some of the best people, because they had to get past all of the superficial stuff. They had to come to terms with who they were, just like you have to come to terms with who you are. And that allowed them to decide that they were confident in themselves. They were confident in their mission in life. They're confident in what they are pursuing and what they want to have. And if you can be that person too, you'll find those people are out there. And it doesn't matter what they look like, honestly. All right, again, preferences are fine, but you're going to find somebody that you think is beautiful, even though contemporary standards may say they aren't. The looks don't matter. It is truly inside what counts. And I know it sounds all airy-fairy and feel-goody and all that. It has nothing to do with conquest, right? So many other people in the men's space talking to men want you to go out there and just... I've talked about the pickup artists before. I don't necessarily have an issue with pickup artists, except for the fact that they don't care about the damage that they do. All right? Teaching men how to talk to women, there's nothing wrong with that. Teaching men how to be confident in themselves, nothing wrong with that. Teaching men to love them and leave them, there's something wrong with that. There really is, because, I mean, if it's mutually agreed that it's going to be a one-night stand, do your thing. I mean, I'm not going to stop you. God gave us all a choice in our lives, all right? But if you're going in there and they are hoping for something more and you love them and leave them, you ghost them, you're hurting them. You're doing damage to other people. And, like, why would you want to do that? And I don't think too many of my audience would want to do that. I genuinely believe most of my audience cares about other people's feelings. And that's probably why they feel that they're in the situation that they are. Like, I used to think that that expression, nice guys finish last, was a good thing because I thought I was a nice guy. And what it meant to me was I was always willing to make sure that everybody else finished. And that's why I finished last, right? And you may be out there going, yeah, that's good. There's nothing wrong with looking out for yourself, though. There's nothing wrong with taking the time and making sure that you get yours. Everybody else will be able to figure out their lives. My very first career was out of law school. I worked for a probate court, so I dealt with dead people. All right, probate is dead people, so wills, estates, and then after that, I went and worked for an elder law firm, which is the nearly dead people. All right, and so I got to have a kind of good understanding of what this process is that we call death and what effect it has on families. And by and large, when you're gone, when you die, the world's going to keep moving on. There's going to be people who grieve for you. There's going to be people who cared about you. They're going to be sad. And after about a year, 2 years, they're going to move on with their lives. All right? You have to figure out what it is in your life that you want to have, and then you need to go and pursue it. And that pursuit is the definition of happiness. It's the psychological definition of happiness. It's not enough to just get by. It's not enough just to be okay with what's going on. You have to want something more. And there's nothing conceited about wanting more. That's what life is. Every single plant on this planet grows. Every animal on this planet grows. Everything that's ever lived has been a thing of growth. It started as something and it grew into something and then it dies. Same thing with you. If you're sitting there and your life is not growing, by definition, you're dying. It's only one or the other. All right? And you may be feeling that way. Maybe you are one of those people who are out there considering ending it all. That's the reason why I started this show, is because I learned about the statistic that 80% of suicides are men in the United States. And I'm like, that's horrible. Why are they doing this? If you're out there and you're not sure if it makes sense to even go on, that's because you have decided, whether consciously or unconsciously, to stop growing, to stop pursuing, to stop making something happen in your life. You can overcome anything. All right? Terrible things have happened to people on this planet. And they keep going. Except for the ones who give up. The ones who decide that they are not going to try anymore. All right? And the ones who decided to keep going became an inspiration for other people. They become the names that we remember. Elie Wiesel survived the Holocaust, the concentration camps, wrote numerous books afterwards detailing his experience and doing talks all over the world explaining what it was like and how he was able to get through it. Some of the most heinous environments that you can imagine. And he used that experience to be able to help others. People who've experienced trauma, use that trauma to help others who've had that trauma to get through it, because maybe others are not as strong as they are and they are offering their hand to help pull them out of that darkness. You have this opportunity too. You don't have to see it as just you alone in this world, but see all the other people out there as needing you to get yourself out of this, to be able to help them and give you a purpose. I don't know what your purpose is. I don't. I have no idea what you're called for on this planet. But I know there's something. There's some reason you're here. Otherwise, you wouldn't be anymore. All right? Like, the way the world works, and setting aside the religion aspect of it, on a scientific basis, when you get down to the quantum realm, we can't measure anything. It's all probability. Everything is probability at the end of the day. All right? There's no real understanding of how stuff works. When we look at light and photons, photons are both particles and waves, and seemingly they're both at the same exact time, depending on the type of experiment you're doing with it. All right? There's no reality beyond what we choose to make it. And so I know I'm getting a little bit far afield. I'm getting really kind of philosophical here. But if you don't want to be single forever, you have to have these conversations with yourself. This is what makes a man. A man knows himself. Know thyself. It's written over the temple at Delphi. All right? It's one of the oldest understandings of philosophy that we have. And so if you don't have confidence and you're too picky, yeah, it makes sense that you're not going to find a date. You're not going to find anybody because it's not going to work out. If you're too aggressive and you think people are property, it's not going to work out. All right, this idea that women should just bow down to men and do whatever they say, they're human beings. They have their own egos. They have their own sense of purpose, their own sense of identity, their own life goals. And if you don't treat them as individuals, yeah, it makes sense you're not going to get a date. All right? There's not that many reasons that shouldn't work out. It comes down to don't be a jerk, be willing to explore options, and believe in yourself. That's it. Don't be a jerk, be willing to explore options, believe in yourself. With those three things, you can get a date. And once you've got a date or two, you're going to have more confidence in yourself because, yeah, I've done it. And if you are an incel out there, you are a virgin, and if you've never had sex, hey, been there. We've all been virgins at one point, right? And then we cross the line. And what I think most people realize is the line doesn't change you. It's that line from 40-Year-Old Virgin where you have it on a pedestal, right? This idea of if I can just have sex, my whole life will change. Your life won't change one lick. No pun intended. No dirty jokes, all right? Your life will not change once you've done it. Instead, you're just going to be able to say you're not anymore. And so what? Nothing really changed. It's not going to necessarily be any easier to get the next date. It's not necessarily going to be easier to get a better job. It's not going to be easier to feel good about yourself. It just, you have to get it off that pedestal and realize it's not that important. And I was 25 when I lost my virginity, okay? I was up there in the years. Like, I wasn't super old, right? But I was older than average by far, especially in my age group. And I got made fun of it for a long time. And when it happened, I'm like, was that it? That was my reaction. Like, is that it? Oh, okay. So let go of these fears. Let go of your preconceptions. Let go of the worries and the doubts and find yourself. Decide that you want to be a better person, not because it'll help you get a date, but because you need to be in order to get the date. All right? It's foundational. You have to be a better person. All right? That's where it comes down to. And so I'm going to leave you there. I'm going to end here. I've been going on for a while. I'm rambling at this point. So I'm going to remind you all, keep looking for the light in the tempest. God will show you the way.